Minimize the federal government. When you have big state government, small federal government, our voices are heard at the local level. You can't even call it money anymore. Gold is money. Silver is money. Green dollars are not money.
By now, most of you have seen this video on YouTube. The problem that you don't realize is who these individuals are that are on camera and what their objective is. Now, understand that I am totally for the things that they speak of, reform with the Federal Reserve and the financial system. But I also know who they are. Let's start off with the loudmouth in the beginning, and then we'll move to the others, and you will see what the ulterior motive is behind what they're doing. This photograph was taken in 2007, so it's slightly older, so he's much younger than today, but we can still see that the traits, genetic traits, are there. He's got the same moles. He also has the same philtrum. Now, keep in mind that this image here, the camera is above him and pointing down, so you see the different shape of the end of the nose, and there'll be a different shape of the ear. This one is actually underneath, shooting upwards. That's where we're getting the nostrils. Now, you can see that they're still at the philtrum, still the same shapes, same teeth, same eyebrows, and we even have the same calic in the hair still growing here. Now, let's move these over. Let's take a look at the ears. And again, remember, the angles are different, but we can still see the same genetic traits. This area right here is the tragus, a little hump on the ear, and we see the same shapes throughout the whole ear. Now, this is video, and this is a digital camera. Digital camera is going to have a sharper edge than the video. It's going to be softer, so you notice how it's a little bit more difficult to see the detail in here. This isn't a high definition video. This is from a still, but we can still see it's the same, even hair patterns. Same orbital. Same creases. Now this is a good example of how you can tell a digital camera, digital image, to this one, to a video image. See how much softer that is? You can't see the hair, the definition of the hair. So that's something you look out for when you're looking at video as compared to a digital camera. Now, of course, there are high definition video cameras, but unfortunately this wasn't one of them that was being used. And you also have to take into consideration the compression ratio that goes into anything that's uploaded to YouTube when it changes it into a vector-based flash file. So we have a little bit of a degradation of image that we can tell. But overall, we can see that this is the same individual. Now, this individual is part of the Greenberg family and is one of the great-grandchildren of Maurice Greenberg, the ex-CEO of AIG. Just one of those 1%ers that they are demanding that need to be held accountable for their actions and need to have new reform placed on them. So you can see there's a conflict of interest already. Now let's move on to the next person. This one I think you'll find pretty interesting. This person that you see here, her name is Arden Vohl. That's W-O-H-L. Her mother is Denise Vohl. Her father, Larry Vohl, is pictured here with Jerome Cohen. Arden, you may recognize her as the 15-year-old nurse Naira that testified in front of Congress about her witnessing soldiers coming in and removing babies from incubators and leaving the babies to die on the floor. This is the testimony that got us into the Gulf War. So there's a little bit of a problem that I have with that. Although she was 15, she didn't know what she was doing. But still, they argue for reform and for accountability when it comes to this nation's financial situation, and yet this individual was the one who testified in front of Congress and was later found out that it was a lie and it was a totally made-up story. Where's the accountability? Do I see anybody stepping up and making this family pay for the lives that were lost for the Gulf War? No. In fact, this family probably made a fortune off of that Gulf War because they're the ones that financed most of it. So you can start to see why I have a problem with these individuals as being behind this movement. There is nothing good that will come out of it. They will co-opt it and they will run it right into the ground. Or, worse, they'll attract people like Ron Paul or somebody that does have a reputation and is authentic, and they will basically use their position and eventually they will turn on them and discredit them. Now, while you're thinking about what I just said, add this to the pile of evidence against them. Arden, her grandfather, is Maurice Strong, the person that's in exile from Canada for his wrongdoings, the person that lives in Switzerland because it's a non-extraditable country. And yes, his real identity is Adolf Eichmann from Auschwitz. And we see him sitting here with another Nazi, Walter Krupinski. Notice the scar on his arm. I've exposed him in other videos. And of course, Maurice here in the picture with Krupinski and with Michael Greenberg, Maurice Greenberg's son, who Maurice Greenberg, as we know, have exposed as the angel of death from Auschwitz, Josef Mengele. So while my grandfather went to D-Day and fought for this country, and these idiots are still over here in this country alive, and they're pulling strings and running the show and causing problems, how do you think that makes their accountability claims seem? So we have the family members of known war criminals from World War II here in the United States, living, enjoying life, while the rest of their family runs around and are funded by them, and they take part in creating fake media events that have an underlying theme throughout them all. We've seen this over and over again. They want to cause tension and cause the people to riot or act in a violent way. Plus, they also are pushing for the gun reform to get the guns out of the hands of the citizens. Not to mention the free speech issues that they have. So now, I understand I've gone off the main topic here, but you have to put this in perspective of who these people are and who their family members are and why they are doing what they're doing. When their family members are part of that 1%. There's definitely a problem. There's definitely a hidden agenda that hasn't come out yet, and you need to stop them while we have a chance. Hold them accountable. But back to the video for now. We see Arden down here with her family members. We see her cousin was a loudmouth kid in the beginning. We see her other cousin is standing next to her. We see an additional cousin that's behind a sign. But what I want you to focus on is another individual down here that I've mentioned, his relative in the beginning that was standing next to Arden's father. This gentleman here, Richard Cohen. He's the president of the Southern Poverty Law Center. I've exposed their Mark Potok as being a fraud and one of the Pima County officials that's in the Sheriff Dupnick's books, which I hope gets me a spot on their top 1,000 hate groups of America list. I'd wear that like a badge of honor. And we also have Brett Bart, who I said in my last video a thank you to for releasing the 4,000 emails that show the connection between Move On and Occupied and all the other foundations that are involved in this. So I would hope he would make a statement as to why he's down here with these family members, and I hope that he's not involved with them at all, or it really just totally undermines his credibility. In order to gain a full picture of what I'm talking about, I would suggest you watch some of my other videos on YouTube or on my website, wellaware1.com. And if you've found this information helpful, please consider donating to Well Aware One, and you can do so on the website at the link at the top, so we can continue to bring you more information like this that the mainstream media does not cover.